You probably suck at listening. I'm Cole. This is my journey of becoming a professional soccer player, building a bootstrap business, and showing my path to self-mastery. I make these videos to help people create their ideal lives. Today's video is about how to actually listen to people and how that skill has made my conversational skills a lot better. I've recently moved to the small village in Croatia. I'm going to be here for about a month in total, and so far I've gone through 2/3 of that time. Throughout this time, I've gotten a lot of feedback from the people that I haven't seen in a while about how I can actually talk to people, and a lot of people call me interesting. I'm not trying to glaze myself in saying that, oh my god, I'm so great, but this is a big change because I don't really see myself as a very social person, and especially in this recent semester in Madrid, I was kind of getting in my own way of being social. I would think that I was an awkward person. So to hear this is a big change, and it just shows that one, your perception can be wrong, and two, that you can change into someone who is good at talking to people. The first piece of advice, which is probably the most important thing that you can do when talking to someone else, is to shut the fuck up. Might sound rash, it might sound rude, but a lot of times when people are conversing, they're not really thinking about what the other person is saying. They're just trying to have a response ready for when they're done. Also, interrupting people is super rude. Unless it's like you're trying to get a joke off or something that's vital that you say immediately. For me, I've noticed that a lot of the times being comfortable with just letting the person continue to yap on or talk about whatever topic that they want to talk about makes the conversation more interesting. You might not even notice that you are interrupting people. This is something that you're going to have to catch yourself or ask a friend if they notice that you are, and if you do that often. Following that, allowing the other person to speak fully, you don't have to have a response immediately. Allowing time in between something that they say and if they're waiting for you to talk is okay. I think pausing is really important, especially if you're in a deep conversation, because you want to think about what you're going to say, not try to offend the other person. Allowing time when no one is saying anything is okay. It's only awkward if you feel it is awkward. And I've noticed the people that I'm most comfortable conversing with, we have the most amount of time where no one is talking. We're comfortable enough in our presence where no one has to be talking. Part of that is because we've spent time together, but allowing that space for thought will develop the silence between you two to where it's not awkward. The third piece of advice that I have is to ask any question that pops into your head. Everyone has anxiety and worries about what other people will think about them, but why are you trying to impress people that you won't get along with anyway? Not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to have a great conversation with you, but that's okay. You want to find people that you actually connect and vibe with. People that I have the greatest banter with is when we have kind of some jokes that are just between us. Even if I have jokes from friend group A and then I use it on friend group B, I will teach friend group B what it is if it's something that I do a lot. For example, from my roommates in college, we had this phrase called reflect upon it, which was Marcus Rashford, his goal celebration, and then reflecting upon what you just say or what someone just said to say like, oh, that was actually like funny or smart or it made sense. I taught that to my friend here and now we do it as well. Not trying to adapt perfectly to every person and still having you in the conversation. You may act differently around different sets of people and that's normal, but you kind of want to have a few core things that's with you throughout every conversation you have. Not being afraid to ask dumb questions is really important, especially if you are trying to learn more about that person. A lot of people, and sometimes I catch myself doing this as well, you're afraid to ask a question based on what you think the other person will say. But I think that just gets in the way of actually building the relationship. When I've tried to limit myself in front of other people, I've noticed I don't really enjoy hanging out with that person as much because I have to act without alignment of who I actually am. Just about any question that pops in your head should be asked no matter how dumb it is. Then there's different stages of friendship, and this is just something that you're gonna have to understand. The people who are here I've known for years, and we have a connection with being in this small village. Although I haven't seen them in 3 years, the time doesn't feel like it's dampened our relationship at all. But when meeting someone new, you don't really know that much about them and you don't know what kind of vibe they are. I've noticed that sometimes it will be a little bit awkward. Maybe not the first time, but the second time when you're meeting each other, especially when you don't have an activity to do. First of all, I would really recommend doing an activity to keep you both engaged. But a little bit of awkwardness is normal, especially in the beginning. So don't let that get to you too much. Then the strategy that I've kind of done in my conversational skills is to learn as much as possible. I've learned this kind of from two places. One was my recent roommate in Madrid. He's been one of the best conversationalists I've ever met in my life. He would ask a bunch of questions, trying to learn as much as you could about the other person. And the funny thing is, I would think he's so good at talking to people, yet you wouldn't know anything about him because he always kept the conversation on you. He was really good about flipping it and asking your opinion. And although I'm not perfect about it, I think I've gotten significantly better. The other place that I've heard that advice is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I hate the title of the book, but the concept is how to create better relationships. One of the main points throughout the book was to learn as much as you can about people. You don't want the conversation to be an interview of you just asking question after question, especially if they don't flow. But you have to find something that the other person likes talking about. Typically, this is going to be about themselves, either what they've been doing recently, what their job is, or what their hobbies are. Then you use that grounding information to help get you over the awkward stage of initially meeting someone. There are some questions that can really help you learn about a person. One that I haven't personally used, but I think would be really good to use is, what is a question that you wish someone would ask you? I think about this because I'm personally someone who likes to talk. So I have a lot to say, yet not everything that goes in my head and what I'm thinking about am I asked about by people. A lot of the times I often find that people don't ask the right questions of what I'm thinking about currently and what I really want to talk about. Then it led me to think that that would be a good question to ask someone. If either you're getting to know them, you could say, what's something about you that no one really understands or doesn't ask the right questions to where you actually talk about it. You want to stay curious throughout the entire relationship. No matter how long you've been friends, there's always more to learn. Now, this advice can be very useful. However, if you never go out into a place to use it, it doesn't mean anything. You have to go into a place that you actually would meet people. This could be at work, this could be your gym, this could be at a coffee shop. There's a lot of places that you can go to meet people. It should be an activity that you actually enjoy to do. So going to the gym is great if you're into fitness, or if you're into playing soccer, you could go to a pickup soccer match. Something that I really recommend that I've kind of taken from one of my friends in college is saying hello to every single person first. I've gotten a lot better at this over the past year, starting with my soccer team. Every single practice, I would say hello to everyone and goodbye to everyone. I know from the other side, it feels really good when someone says hello and goodbye to people. So why can't I do it? Why do I have to wait for the other person to make the move? People are going to ignore you sometimes, and that's okay. That's just something you're gonna have to live with and learn to get over. But you can't let those few bad experiences ruin the entire thing. Finally, my last piece of advice on how to become a better conversationalist is to put yourself in interesting experiences. One, this will get you greater surface area so you can relate to people in a lot more ways. But also, having interesting experiences will allow you to actually have something to talk about. Recently in the village, it's only about 500 people, so everyone really knows each other. I've talked about my path as well as my sister's. Both of us have very interesting paths on what we've done recently and what we're doing. After graduating college, my sister did a Fulbright program where she taught English in the Canary Islands for an entire year. That's an awesome story right there. Living abroad and teaching English in a niche place like the Canary Islands. Then she's just moved to Austin, Texas and has a new job before applying to medical school. She has something in her life and it has a goal reaching towards that is difficult, that is going to be a cool story in the end. For me, I've just graduated college in 3 years and my last semester was spent in Madrid. I'm now going to be living in Madrid full time, working on a business as well as playing soccer. At least a lot of the people that I've met, they kind of just go to college and then get a job. They're afraid to really take the leap and risk everything for their dreams. Yeah, I think a way for you to get a more interesting life is to choose whatever would have the most epic story. This is a frame from Alex Hormozy. He says, whenever I'm choosing whether to do one thing or another, I think which would have the coolest story, and then he chooses that one. For me, I could have stayed at USC for 4 years and then gone to New York and done work. But I know that I would have always regretted not risking everything and trying to play soccer, as well as I absolutely hate working in corporate. Taking whatever path is the most interesting will in turn make you a more interesting person, especially if whatever you're choosing to do is hard, because it will make you a stronger person in the end. I hope you got some value for the video and thank you for watching.